Hey everybody, this is Cody Knight 22 here. Welcome to Cody Talks Fandom, episode number 33. We're going back to the roots for this one because this is going to be an interview with a writer. And this time I have kind of a big deal on to this show for Writers Go, one of the original rulers of RWBY fanfiction. If you were reading within the first 500 words, odds are this was one of two people whose stories you were probably guaranteed to have read up to that point. First person to get over 100 favorites on a story on fanfiction.net for a RWBY story with Other Side, and is still churning out a lot of work today. Everybody, please welcome to the show, known as Parabola Beam on fanfiction.net, rwby-rose on Tumblr, Emmy.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for agreeing to come on.
Yeah, I didn't even know that it had over 100 like favorites on fanfiction.net at first. It was like, oh, hey, I learned something.
Okay, I said that, but I'm gonna be honest. I might be bullshitting my way through that one.
Oh my god!
I might be wrong.
Now I'm gonna get a big head.
I wasn't there like pre 500. I was there like 1,000. I started reading like right around, actually I think right around 700 or so.
Mm-hmm.
So you were still like the queen.
Oh no.
Well, it was you in Black and Hearts. Yeah. And as far as fanfiction.net goes, it was you too. It was like that was it. I don't actually know. I was around about 700. I think you were the first over 100 favorites, but I wasn't thorough enough to know that for sure. So
well, either way.
So if I'm wrong, somebody correct me in the comments below, which I'm sure nobody will because I don't make mistakes. I'm perfect.
If you have that kind of obscure knowledge, please.
If you were reading back then, welcome to the, like, I don't know of many people that were reading back then.
Oh man, I only know like my main group of friends that I made like when the trailers and stuff were still coming out and when like the first few episodes came out, and then like I made that group of friends and then we just stuck together like a Katamari. Like
that seems to be what happened. It was like that was something I remarked on way earlier in the show. I think it was off camera, but it was just like when everything kind of happened for the RWBY fandom, like groups were made immediately, and those were the groups, and you weren't really going to get in. But then it's kind of like you just have to create something that would, and then what I did basically was I made a giant like a giant salt stick, or not salt stick, sugar stick. There we go, and I'm just attracting groups towards me.
Hey, yes, come over here.
Come over here. Friend. Pretty much, and you know what? It's worked.
Yeah.
It's also a lot of fun, but anyways, that's kind of all besides the point. You were one of the original ones. You have like the you have, I want to say, the first story that was posted on fanfiction.net.
I don't think it was the first story on fanfiction.net. I don't think so. Like it's easy
by
enough
publish
to check.
date.
Oh wait, oh yeah, maybe I'm not sure.
No,
I think I remember checking.
I'm sorry,
no,
I lied.
Yeah,
Kira of Darkness has that distinction, but Other Side was the third.
Yeah, I started Other Side like the day after the White trailer. Basically, I had two characters to ship together. I was like, well, here it goes.
Literally the first
page
of fanfiction.net pretty much is just White Rose stories.
Yeah.
Like that's it. That's all it is.
Oh,
because
God.
everybody was like, "Oh my God, two characters! Time to start shipping." Little did we know that would literally be the rest of RWBY. Two characters, they're shippable.
Yeah, they go together. I remember. Oh, sorry.
No, you go first.
Gosh, no, I remember when Blake hadn't been revealed yet, and all we knew from her silhouette was that she had like a whip sort of thing. So, like, everybody's speculation was like, oh, she's gonna be the mean one. She's gonna be like a dominatrix. and then it's like, oh, how wrong we were. She's like the most morally, maybe not wrong, depending on what you read.
I've read stories. I have a feeling that at least the dominatrix part is still what the fandom thinks of her. But anyway, no. I'd also like to point out, of the first 5 stories, it's Kira of Darkness, Black and Hearts, you, Black and Hearts, you. And that summarizes the first a little bit on fanfiction.net. So yeah, you had the third one. 326 favorites on that story.
Wow.
So congratulations. I feel confident that my first to 100 is correct. but yeah, you were one of the original rulers. Somebody that I read Other Side. That was my third story that I had read
Aw.
on the Ruby fandom, and that was way too complicated for me at that moment in time for what I was looking for. I was just trying to read some quick stories, and eventually I came around back to it and I read it again, and it was still really incredible. But you're on Summer Rose Court as well. That's something I didn't even mention.
Oh yeah, I actually, I ended up quitting Summer Rose Court earlier
Okay, well,
this
you
month.
were on Summer Rose Court,
Yeah, I
and we're gonna
was.
pretend like I knew that. Cut that out. Uh, but so you were on Summer Rose Court, and we were on the Summer Rose Court podcast together. The one
Yeah,
time I was on
yeah.
it.
Oh my gosh, long time no see.
Well, yeah, and I remember I didn't realize until I was literally in the podcast, and it just partway through it, I was looking through stories to find a reference to something, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is Parabola Beam!" Like it hit me like while I was in there, so that was a fun moment for me.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's really sweet because I had no idea that I always feel like I kind of like I feel like since I started writing so early, like not a lot of people knew me or something, and so I'm like and then everybody else is writing their own thing, and they all write like really amazing things. So it's like, and it takes me forever to like finish something. So
I
one
know
of
the
the
feel.
recent stories I finished took me like 4 months to do, and that was just because I was being stubborn, and I was like, I'm not gonna let it die like I usually do with stories that take more than a month. I'm just gonna
Rip.
yeah, rip in pieces.
Uh, I want to say if you were, I started reading at least episode 6, maybe 7 of
hmm
Ruby, and I don't know that for sure, so I'm not gonna put anything final on it. But if you were like reading right around the same time that I was, it's like it was a guarantee
Aw.
at that point. Even later on, it was a safe bet, but kind of shied away from you and from Parabola Beam towards the top for full length stories when people started making more of those and whatnot. But you know,
Yeah, I'm better at writing short stuff. Like I have no story stamina whatsoever. I'm just like I gotta write something quick, and I have to like condense it so I can get it out. Otherwise, like it'll never go. And I'm trying to be better about it and write like more like full length chapter stories. I have a couple of them planned, but like it's hard. It's
it
so
is hard.
hard.
It's hard, and oftentimes partway through, you're like, "What am I doing? Is this worth it?" Uh, but you are here for an interview,
Yeah,
and
that.
not just for me, and not just for me being like you were like one of the first people I read. Holy shit! And you're one of the first people that most people read if they were around early enough. Uh, but interview, there are 26 questions.
Oh wow.
Two, I want to say, two viewer submitted ones. Yes, two viewer submitted ones. You're the first person in a while that I've not gotten actually any asks from Tumblr on. All of these came from YouTube.
Oh
That was the
wow.
first. That's the first time in a while since I really started posting these to Tumblr.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so are you ready to go?
Yeah, sure.
How did you first discover Ruby?
Oh, well, it started with the Red trailer. You know, I am obsessed with anything to do with Little Red Riding Hood. It's kind of like my journal that I write notes for my fanfiction is like a Little Red Riding Hood journal, and like I have freaking like a doll. It's like a Little Red Riding Hood doll on my shelf with like my anime figures, and I just always been like obsessed with like that fable. Like I really like the Brothers Grimm fairy tales and stuff like that. And Little Red Riding Hood was always my favorite story. So of course, when it's like an anime-esque Little Red Riding Hood character, I'm gonna be interested. And so I saw her, I saw Ruby, and like the red trailer's so good. I think like if I could like oh god like just like the red trailer and the white trailers are my favorite. But like I think the reason that those two were so like highly regarded as opposed to maybe the black and yellow trailers is because like I feel like all of the combat was like synced up perfectly to the music, and like it's really easy to get into when like the musical cues match what's happening, and like at least for me because I love things to do with rhythm, so it was like it was like so absorbing, and like it was Little Red Riding Hood, and I was like, well, that's it, that's my new waifu.
And I'm stuck. Uh, yeah, I think that was at the time for well, for people who knew, that was because I certainly didn't know or I kind of knew up to that point, but that was like that was what we were going to expect for then on out from Montium combat sequences.
Yeah.
At that point, that was a smart way to get people invested into the series very early on. And then plot came later. But you might be the first person that directly referenced the fairy tale that was like, yeah, no, fairy tale is why I got into it.
Yeah.
So
Oh wow. I mean, I like
Lots of
fight
firsts.
scenes too, but I've been obsessed with fairy tales like all my life, so it was easy.
The only thing that really seems to ever change about children's stories growing up is that now you can pay for your own. That's about it. What was the first RWBY fanfic you remember reading?
Oh God. Oh Lord. I'm gonna have to like go all the way back now. Gosh, I think you know what? It was actually I think I actually remember I actively avoided reading other RWBY fanfiction before I could finish Other Side, because I was like, I wanna write something, but like I don't want to like look at somebody else's fanfiction and then be like, oh no, they're better, and then just abandon my own idea. But like I eventually.
Oh man, one of three.
Yeah, I eventually bit and I read a couple, and you know, like it was back in the day, like before like the series proper, so we didn't really have a lot to go on, and it was just like like our ideas of what was going to happen, and there were like some cool things floating around, like somebody wrote something for like the Bodyguard AU that I made like way back in the day, you know, and it was like, because I was like thinking like, oh, what if Ruby ended up being like Weiss's bodyguard, and because like Weiss is a princess or something.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, and then somebody wrote something for it. I'm like, oh, this is cute. Oh my gosh. And so like, but yeah, I sadly don't remember like who wrote them, because like most of those people are like gone now or changed their URLs, and it's like, oh god.
Was it on fanfiction.net?
No, it was mostly on Tumblr. I didn't even look at fanfiction.net. Like,
I have no idea.
I
I definitely read something for the Bodyguard AO on fanfiction.net. So man, there were not a lot of options.
Yeah,
so.
not a lot.
Well, correction, there were not a lot of options if you wanted to read what was good.
Aw.
So then again, I am on fanfiction.net. That might be fucking cluing into some things. Anyways. What made you decide to write for RWBY?
I think just like once the white trailer came out, you know, no, it was more than just like, oh, I have two characters to ship now. It was sort of like Weiss's trailer. Yeah, I hear you judging. No.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. I want to hear it.
No, I was just laughing at it because like it was more than just had two characters to ship. Now I'm thinking, is it really though?
Is it really? No, yeah,
With
okay, it's that to some degree. You got me. But anyway, what was it? Yeah, so Weiss's trailer was really cool because it had like Ruby's was cool because she was like badass and, you know, taking names. Like she was the only one out of any of the trailers like to not get hit. So that was pretty cool. And then Weiss's was cool because like she was very obviously like different skills than Ruby, and like she obviously had some sort of like an inner struggle sort of thing going on, which like I'm all about inner struggles because it's like makes for good reading.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I think like it was like really. It was a big draw, like to have the second trailer and to see that like, oh, they're not just total badasses. They've got their own things going on, and then I was like really excited to see like what was gonna happen.
It's yeah, definitely the early impressions that were made on the thing. Mm-hmm. I do remember one story that I read, and I should not have read this because I'm a baby, but Crimson Snow, I think, is this one? Yes, Crimson Snow, very early on, was actually the story just before Other Side, and I remember being really surprised at reading it when I did, knowing when it came out, because everything was so in character to like what we had seen so far from, or in character to a certain extent.
Right, yeah.
It was pretty accurate, and then I remember reading other stories from around that time period, and I was like, wow. People got close. For how little we knew, people got close. with how their personality is kind of shaped up to be.
Mm-hmm. I was not close. I know I was not close. Like, I was just like,
really?
no, not at all. God, I was just, I had no idea. Like, that was how that was just how I interpreted it from the trailers, and like, it was fun. Like, a lot of people had the same interpretation.
Yeah.
It was not correct, but it was still fun.
Missed it by that much.
Missed it by that much. Holds arms really wide.
But on a serious note, I might know the answer to this question. Who's your favorite character?
Ruby. Very obvious.
Believe it or not.
Believe it or not, the person with the rwby-rose URL is a huge fan of Ruby.
Believe it or not, the person with the rwby-rose URL, whom I thought apt to give a background that is red with rubies on it, along with the rwby-rose icon. They like Ruby.
God, I checked too. Like, I checked on Tumblr I was like, okay, who has the real rwby-rose URLs? Because I was like, oh, I wish I could. But then I was like really relieved to see that they were like old accounts, like several years old, like from before Ruby came out. So I was like, oh, okay, all right. I mean, I don't know why I was
based around
relieved,
the actress,
but I was like, okay. Yeah.
Those accounts were probably based around the actress.
Yeah, I didn't even know.
Because there's an actress called rwby-rose.
Oh, okay.
Fun fact, I only know that because I was trying to image search rwby-rose one day for something. I don't remember what I was doing. And she came up. I have no idea what she does. She's either an actress or a model. She does something.
Something.
And her name is rwby-rose. It's a moot point. What is your favorite ship?
God. Okay,
There's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, oh man. I mean, I have different, like, I have like different favorite ships for different occasions, but like, okay. All right. I'll bite. I think as of now, my favorite ship is probably the trash ship Cinderuby.
Also related to this background.
Yeah.
If you haven't figured it out yet,
Oh, no.
I'm sure it'll come to you.
Yeah.
Just stare at the sides.
And like, Cinderuby is an interesting ship because, I mean, you have to kind of own that it's a bad and horrible thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah,
just be like, it's fine.
I mean,
no, you don't.
it's a horrible ship and people shouldn't ship it, but if you do ship it, you have to create it in a way that acknowledges that it's a bad ship.
Right, because
then it's just no fun. If you don't do it that way, then it's like, and it kind of ruins the whole point of the dynamic for Cinderuby.
Yeah.
Which I'm a fan of, and
yeah.
I you know,
I know. Come into this garbage can with me where it's warm.
I blame you and I blame Kino.
Kino, oh my god, Kino is like my best friend. We are
really?
Yes, we are such good friends, and we bonded over Cinderella. Like, we were in like the same Skype call every day, basically, like with like our group of friends. And
wow.
Oh my gosh, and it's just like the best friendship. It's the best because like we both have like that soft spot for like domestic Cinderuby, like the brand of Cinderuby where it's like, oh, what if it wasn't so fucked up, you know? Like it's like but like we both also really like the trashy Cinderuby. Like we like the best of both worlds. But like,
yeah.
Like to quote,
Hannah Montana, this bitch.
To quote Kino, like we know our trash limit though, and we know it's bad. We know it's bad when it's bad, and we know it's good when it's good. But you know, I think it is really super important to like, you know, to acknowledge like, hey, it's not so great. Because like I've seen somebody like in the Cinderuby tag before, like a long time ago. I don't even remember who they are, but like they were saying like, well, if Cinder is young enough to go to Beacon or to pass at Beacon, then she's young enough to be with Ruby. And I'm like, no, she's not. She's really not.
It's still bad. Like, it's, first of all, Ruby's 2 years younger than she should be.
Yeah.
And Cinder probably passes for a senior or a fourth
yeah,
year.
and like I don't buy for a second that she's younger than she looks. I think she's like, she's an old lady.
Asians, man.
Yeah.
It's if you ship trash, you have to acknowledge that it is trash.
Like,
and Cinderuby's always walks the delicate line of when it's Cinderuby more than any other ship, I think, because you can write other trash ships in a way to domesticate them more.
Yeah.
Than you can with Cinderuby, so it always walks that line of too much and good.
Yeah, I agree. Because like, I feel like when I write Cinderuby personally, like I either age Ruby up, or if I leave Ruby at the age that she is, I make it really obvious that it's not good news. It's bad news bears,
Yeah.
and that Cinder is a horrible manipulator. But like, that's just what I like to write. it makes more sense when like you realize that like my favorite genre of video games, for example, is horror. So it's like I like scary things.
Well, if you don't ship it, no judging. If you do ship it, judging.
Yeah.
lots and lots of judging. But
I mean, everyone has their own like thing, and like I would never ever like if somebody didn't like Cinder Ruby, then that's cool. It's fine. Like no problem.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Not liking a ship and liking a ship to me kind of falls under the same category.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't care. Just don't force it on me.
Absolutely.
Like if I really don't like it, I'll blacklist it. But I ship all but one thing in Ruby, so or I'm willing to like. I'm sure that you can name some obscure ship that's like what, but I'm willing to like be like, all right, it's a good ship. I mean, all the dynamics
what's the
work.
Thing that you don't ship? I'm curious.
Shoutouts to Chrissy.
Oh, that.
And this is a question that I didn't know if it was going to be great follow up, but I put it here anyways, and it wound up being perfect follow up. Oh wait, we just answered that. All right, so I might just include that last bit in the interview. So why do you like falling petals? Damn it, falling petals so much.
I thought you said something else.
I did the first time. I'm not gonna lie, I fucked up, and I can't English very well, so it was just like a fuck up of the tongue. But a
little Freudian slip there.
Realistically, though, it's the same thing.
Yeah. Oh my god. All right. So why do I like falling petals so much? Let's see. I've always been like kind of like if there's a bad ship in any sort of media, I am like always interested. Like it's probably not the best thing, like not the best quality to have as a person, but like I like.
No, it's a great quality.
Yeah, no, I'm always the first one to cross that line in the group of friends. I'm like, hey, what if? And then they're like, Emmy, no, Emmy, stop, no. It's like, okay, well, what if? And then they fall into hell with me. But it's nice because let's see, I like Fallen Petals because let me actually get around to answering the question now.
Yeah. No, that's all you want.
It's because of the freaking scene in the hallway where they bump into each other. Well, Ruby bumps into Emerald, technically, but, like, it's one of the points where Ruby meets somebody, and it's a regular, like, meeting somebody. Like, she meets Weiss by, like bumping into her and, like knocking over all the desks, getting yelled at. She meets Blake because she sneezes in, like, Weiss's face and makes an explosion and, like, involves Blake. She meets John because she's like laying down on the cold hard floor and he's like, oh, let me help you. And so and like her meetings with people are always quite explosive, but like she she bumps into Emerald and then they're like, oh hey, and then like Cinder's behind her and she's like, oh, I'm visiting from Haven actually. Like
Haven,
God, her
actually.
voice. Oh,
Jessica Negri.
Jessica Negri is so great. I love her. I love her so much. Yeah, so they meet in the hallway and it's like this cool moment where like they kind of like are looking into each other's eyes and not like in a romantic way yet, but like in a, no,
yeah, that's totally going to become canon.
That's the reason that I can like pour my soul into Cinder Ruby is because I know it won't be canon, so I can't be crushed by canon. It's nice.
It's true.
But anyway.
They'll find a way.
So they're looking into each other's eyes, and like there's this moment where Ruby's like kind of weirded out, and then she's like, oh, okay, and then she like decides that Cinder's an okay person, and I'm just like, oh, that's adorable. Oh, that's so bad, but that's adorable. Oh my god. And then like how Emerald and Mercury, like they continue walking past Ruby as she's like giving them directions, but like Cinder waits. And, like, she waits for her to finish, and then she walks by. And she, like, maintains eye contact for as long as she humanly can while she's moving past her. Like, I'll see you around. And it's like, oh, my heart. And so, oh, my voice is shaking now. That happens when I get excited about a ship.
Wow.
But, yeah, just butterflies. And there's like, so many opportunities for, like, like things that they could do. Like I was so like ready. Did I tell you my like feelings about like the end of volume 2 and how I really wished that like when Ruby got captured that like Cinder would have like taken the opportunity to be like, "Hey, I've got this." And then like they pretend to capture Cinder and then they put her in like a cell or something with Ruby and then like they could be like, "Oh, I met you in the hallway." Oh, wow. And then Ruby's like,
You
no, no,
sick
no, no,
fuck.
no, 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 no. Listen, listen, listen. It's like it's not like that. I swear. No,
It's gonna wind up being
no,
like
it's
that.
not. It's, well, okay. In a fan fiction that I might or might not write, maybe. We'll see. We'll go.
God damn it,
No,
Emmy.
but then the idea would be that Ruby would be like, "It's okay, don't be sad, like strange transfer girl. It's okay, my friends are gonna come save us." And then Cinder would be like, "How do you know? Like, what could they possibly do to like come save us? Tell me all of their abilities and everything." Like that would have been so cool and like sneaky and awesome. I would have been like on board for that.
Would have
That would
been.
have been so cool. Or like, there was that one person. I think their username is NPC016, and they make really cool edits.
Yes.
And they edited like instead of Ruby calling John for back. Oh, can't even say
Calling.
that with a straight
Yeah.
face. Instead of
Okay, well, to be fair, let's look at the people around John.
yeah, I mean, just skip the middleman, call Pyrrha. That's what I feel like. Or Nora, yeah, because Nora would. Oh god, Nora would wreck.
I would say or Ren, but Ren is also a pretty shit fighter.
I mean, he's good at like the big one-on-one stuff, I think, but like.
And we're on question 7.
Woohoo! It only took us an hour.
There are friendly reminder. There are 26 questions.
That's okay. We'll do on. We'll do on. We'll be okay.
Yeah. I think I said it, but just in case I didn't, the last question, why do you like Falling Petals so much, came to us from the Prince of Black and White on YouTube. What story/writers did you draw inspiration from?
Oh my goodness.
You can go in or out of fandom for this one, by the way.
Okay. All right. I think like, gosh, I like of course when I was like starting to write, like not like there weren't a lot of Ruby writers when I started writing to like draw inspiration from, but there were some really fantastic writers on fanfiction.net that I really look up to. There is one for the Haunting Ground fandom. It's very obscure. It's like a 6-year-old story too that I'm gonna be referencing, but the author was like their username was the Extreme Piercing, and I know it's kind of funny, but they wrote a really amazing Haunting Ground fanfiction, and like among my good friends, I'm like, you have to read this. Like you really, really, I highly encourage you read it because like even if you don't know a lot about Haunting Ground, like it's still like somehow this person like does an amazing job and they get the characterization so good like out of all the characters, and then they add like a huge new like plot element, but like they make it in like a plot twist that you could understand as being like, holy shit, that's amazing, even if you didn't like play Haunting Ground or if you don't know much about it, but you could still see it and be like, whoa, and then like it's so good, and like I just aspire to like their level of writing because everything about it was amazing. And then another writer that I've been really recently admiring was I believe their name is like Fummy or Fumi. It's like spelled Fummy, but like they were the person that created the RPG horror game called The Witch's House, which my friend Jay got me into a couple months ago, and it ruined my life. So that's great. And then I was like, well, now I've got to read the giant thing that they wrote to go with the game, and it's like basically like they wrote like a huge story, like a novella that goes with it, and it was again horror story, so it was like really scary, but it was like also really like it like reaches into your heart and it like makes you feel so much. And like that was one of the first or fanfiction or not fanfiction, well like a story in a while where like I went to bed reading it. Like I could not put it down. I was like my eyes were like closing, but I was like, I gotta read it. It's so good.
One more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and okay, other writers that I draw inspiration from. Uh, like I admire. Can I just say that I admire Hannah's like writing stamina? Like, can I just have that?
Yeah, Hannah's incredible.
Like how like some of us are fucking starving over here, and she's like writing like, oh, I have like the next 5 million stories planned out. I'm like, Jesus Christ, how do you do it?
Don't worry,
Wow.
in 2019 there will still be Ruby fanfictions coming out from Hannah because she has that much written in
I
advance.
know. She has it all. She has it all set to go. Like we can last through like a nuclear apocalypse on Hannah fanfiction.
I was just about to be like, the year is 2086. The nuclear holocaust has rid the land of life, but we still have fanfiction coming out from Hannah.
We still have a vast supply.
I literally haven't even started writing anything in a month, and it's just like I look at Hannah's backlog and like, part of me hates you.
Like, I don't know if I want to be you, or if I could even do all that. It's like, oh my gosh, but yeah, she's amazing. I had the pleasure of actually going to meet her in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of November.
What was it called?
Like
Rose.
Yes, the rwby-rose meetup. That was super fun. She's amazing to hang out with. It was an awesome time. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Next question though, beyond that, what's your favorite AU?
Ooh, henceforward for sure.
All right.
I love Kuma from Taiwan. She is such a sweetheart. Oh my god, she's so cute. Like I have like the pleasure of like being kind of her friend, you know, like I like well, we are friends. Like why would I say kind of? Like we're like, I mean, we don't get to talk that much because she isn't online a lot, but like we'll occasionally exchange messages, and like she's super sweet. And I remember one time she like somebody asked her, was like, oh, do you do not safe for work art? And she was like, oh no, not on this blog. And so I sent her a message and I was like, oh, do you have a not safe for work blog? And so she linked me to it. I'm not going to say what it is because she doesn't want like younger kids to find it or something.
There are children watching this show.
Right,
There's a child
I'm gonna
running
be
this
like
show.
censored now as opposed to all the Cinder Ruby trash I've been spewing all this past hour. But anyway,
There actually aren't children watching. The only child associated with this show is the one running it.
yeah, probably.
Hey.
No, so she's like, oh yeah, here it is, awesome. And I was like, oh cool, I didn't know that you had one. This is neat. I didn't know if you felt comfortable linking it to me and blah blah. And then she got like all these cute emoticons out. She's like, oh no, I hope you don't think that I was being a pervert for showing you this and blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh honey, no, God, please.
Kuma's precious.
As I follow it, I'm like, no, sweetie, no, shush, okay, just all right.
You're just putting like, you're just smearing your hand on their face like shh.
Like shh. As I go through and like everything because you know, she loves White Rose, and we're like the two people that love Weiss on top in that pairing.
Kuma is, man, henceforth is the one thing that I've had to think about more recently because of character spotlight, or what am I calling it? I don't remember what the fuck I'm calling these anymore. Fan and interpretation. That's what the it's. I've had to think about henceforth more because I reference it a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like the more I think about it, the more I love it.
Oh,
it
so
really
good.
is. It's so incredible. Shout outs to Kuma. If Kuma's not watching this show, Kuma's never fucking seen an episode of this in their life.
I'll nag her. I'll be like, Kuma, I
it's fine.
talked about how cute you were, and yeah, like the embarrassing Auntie M that I am.
Auntie M, that's great. Henceforth is. You might be the first person to answer that because people that I've had on recently, they've been following the flavor of the year. Ruby Rock.
Oh God, I love Ruby Rock too.
Ruby Rock is great.
Everything's
The people
good.
that I've had on have been Haley, Ivory, and Dash. Or not Dash. I have had on Dash. Red. There we go. Can't believe I just...
Yeah, gosh, I really like henceforward because like I remember I asked Kuma once. I was like, I really want to write not safe for work henceforward stuff. Is that okay with you? And she's like, yes, please do it. And so I wrote her like a White Rose for it, and it was a good. I had a good time writing it, and I was really happy. And then like more recently, I came to her. I was like, hey, I know Cinder's not in henceforward.
Oh
at
boy.
this time, but would you mind if I wrote a henceforward Cinder Ruby Weiss thing, maybe? And she's like, yeah, go for it. Oh my god. So that's in progress. Just
Cinder, Ruby,
and
Weiss.
because, Weiss can't share. And Cinder is Cinder, so.
Weiss does seem to be involved in a lot of OT3s.
Oh god, Weiss is great.
Weiss is great. Weiss is I don't know. Weiss is,
like
I want to see more from Weiss.
Number one
That's all I'll
bitch
say.
of my Kokoro.
Yeah. You're not wrong. Next question. Aside from writing, is there any other medium you express your creativity in?
Ooh, I'm not very good at drawing at all, but I do like painting occasionally. Like, it was more in high school that I really liked painting, and like I like painting like sceneries and stuff more than actual people. But yeah, I like painting. I don't do it a lot, but other than that, not really. Like, it's mostly just writing. Yeah, so.
What's your favorite story, excluding your own? I do mean fanfiction, by the way.
Oh, okay, fanfiction only?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's keep it Ruby, too.
Oh, Ruby fanfiction.
Yeah. It's the purpose of this show. I'm going to try and be somewhat on topic.
Okay, let me think. That's so hard. Why would you do that to me?
Because I take pleasure out of pain.
There was one fic. I wish I knew who wrote it, but like it was somebody. Like I found it as like it was like a submission to Ailturn's blog. It was like, it was a story about it was a Cinder Ruby story. Surprise, surprise! What? Oh, shocker! Curveball. It was Cinder Ruby, but Emerald was also there, and it was like.
Oh, that makes it better.
Yeah, I mean, well. No, it was awful. It was so manipulative. I mean, it was a great story. I'm not knocking on the story, but like it was exactly what I like. That's what I'm saying. That's the only descriptor. It was exactly the sort of thing that I like. But it was like the main pairing was Cinder Ruby, and it was like in a kind of like not really in a whole AU in itself, but more like kind of. Like not like okay, Ruby was basically captured by Cinder, and it was like a thing where like slowly over time like Ruby had lost hope and that sort of thing, and she became dependent on Cinder. It was a Stockholm syndrome sort of thing, and then like Emerald of course is a jealous little baby, and she's like, oh, why does Cinder like you anyway? And then like Emerald kind of bullies her a little. And then, like, Cinder is like, what are you doing, Emerald? And then Emerald's like, and then Ruby, like, kind of surprises Emerald, and she says, I actually like being around you too, Emerald. And it was like, and like the way that it was like framed in the story was like so good, because like it was like that was like the last little glimmer of like actually true Ruby that there was, kind of.
Oh.
And like it had touched Emerald, and Emerald's like, oh, feelings, oh my god, no.
Get these away.
It's like, oh, get it off, put it back.
Put it in the fire.
But it like, I mean, I'm talking about it super jokily, but like it was actually like super well written, and like just it like touched your soul in like that weird creepy way. But it was I mean, well, for me, it was really good.
You mean it touched your soul in a weird creepy way, and it was Cinder, Ruby, Emerald? What?
Yeah.
I never would have saw that coming.
I know, right? Oh gosh, I mean, I love Emerald. I really love Emerald. Like, I want to write more to do with Emerald. That's like my goal. But Cinder Ruby is just so lucrative on its own. I'm just like.
Yeah. Then it got worse. That story. Yeah.
So I wrote a thing where like Emerald had gotten close to Ruby and then betrayed her, and then Weiss was pissed and on the warpath, and then Emerald's sort of calling her out like, oh yeah, you loved Ruby, haha, you suck. Oh.
Nanny boo boo.
Nanny boo boo.
They're just Emerald and Mercury just sitting there while I saying Ruby sitting in a tree.
Oh, and then no, wait, that's not true. I did write another thing that involved Emerald. It was like based off that edit that NPC 016 made, where she calls Cinder instead of John, and like, so I wrote a whole fanfiction where Ruby does call Cinder instead of John.
Wow.
And Cinder answers the phone, and or her scroll or whatever the fuck the technology. I don't shit. Phone, scroll, whatever. But and Emerald and Mercury are also in the room and like listening in on the conversation, sort of, because it's not a secret, But like up until like writing Emerald and Mercury interacting was hilarious. It was so much fun because like Mercury is exactly like the brother that Emerald never wanted, I think. He's exactly that person that when you tell them like, hey, I kind of have a crush on this person, but don't tell anybody. Like he's like, oh hey, did you know that so and so? And then you have to like cover their mouth because they'll tell anyway, and they'll get really close to telling your crush that you like them, even when you tell them not to. Like he is that guy.
Yeah, he would be. By an air horn, or not an air horn, by a loudspeaker. Attention, camp population of Beacon. Emerald Lestry has a crush on
Cindy Fall.
Before I move on to the next question, though, the last question was, what's your favorite story excluding your own? If I hadn't included excluding your own, would you have said anything by you?
Oh, yeah, I would have. Like, my hunch...
Wait, you would have?
Yeah.
Oh, you're the first. I did it!
The Hunchback of Notre Dame AU that I wrote.
Oh, okay.
God, that I'm still writing, actually. Yeah, there's a sequel in the works.
I read the one-shot for that.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna be working on, like, another continuation of it, sort of thing. Like, I started it, but, like, slow going. But, I really, really liked what I did for that. I mean, I'm not sure if I'll even continue it, but like, or remember if I'll even post the thing that I write to go with it, because I'm not sure like if that'll like diminish like how good it was on its own. But I was so proud of it.
Really good on its own. I'm just happy that piece of the question was finally necessary.
Yeah.
It's always been like the running thing for me was always like, would you have said it? No, I don't think I would have. Okay, well, part of that question's useless, but I'm glad. Thank you. You were the first. I think Chrissy said yes as a joke, but that's it. That's all I've gotten.
Yeah, no, I poured a lot into that. Like, I got the same feeling writing that as the feeling that I initially got while I was writing Other Side. So I was really writing that. I wrote that all in one morning, by the way. That was like,
Jesus.
Yeah, that was some of the most that I've written at a time.
Productivity.
Yes. Rare productivity for me.
Yeah, I haven't written anything in a month. It's okay.
I mean, now I hope, now that I'm like the first one that answered that question, like, as yes, I hope I don't seem like all vain or narcissistic or anything.
No. Well, I mean, maybe some people take it that way, but I wouldn't give a shit.
Well.
If I were you. I just be proud of your work. That's fine. It's fine to have an ego, just don't be a piece of shit about it. And you are not a piece of shit.
That's
you were fun to talk
to
to.
know.
You're not Roman.
Oh, well, Roman's probably fun to talk to too. If you could interview Roman, that would be like awesome. That'd be like a dream.
Yo, Gray, if you're watching this, come on the show. But on to the next question. Question number 11. We're an hour 35 into this.
Yay.
But question number 11. How do you deal with negative criticism?
I take it in stride. I mean, it's always going to happen. You can't please everybody ever. So, I think like my way of dealing with it is just like I think about it and I'm like, well, is this exactly what I wanted to put out? And then I think about it and I'm like, oh yeah, I worked on it and I double checked it, triple checked it. It's what I wanted to do. And there are people that do like it besides me. I mean, so as long as I am happy with it, like, it's pretty hard to like make me upset over it. I mean, like, it doesn't happen very often when I get negative criticism, but like, if it does, when it does happen, like, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, if it's something like I usually don't get a lot of substantial things like in the negative criticism, like the most I usually get is like, oh, please continue it, or oh, it isn't long enough, or, but Like, I don't think I very, very rarely get anything to do with the plot. Like, when I got it in the past, like I got it a lot in the past because I wrote shit when I was starting, like just like starting out writing, like way back, like 10 years ago, like and I was like, this is the best thing ever, and I put it on fanfiction.net, and I was like, you get some people that where they're like, oh, this is so good, and then there's like some
Yeah.
people that are like, oh, this is not so good, and this is why. But I really appreciated when people like took the time to like tell me something, because I feel like it's better to be like a critical fan of something and hope for it to improve than to be like a really passive intaker of it and then just and then like if you think everything is good, then that's fine, but if there's something that bothers you about it, I think it's okay to say that to the person.
Yeah. As long as it's within.
Right. If it's something like, I don't like this ship, I'm just like, well, then why did you read it? It says right there.
Yeah, it's it's like if it's just like, wow, I really didn't like this story, I think that the story is bad. It's like, just keep going. Then that's fine, but don't just say that. Like, if you have reasons why you thought it was bad and reasons or ways that it can improve, do that. Don't be a piece
I love
of shit.
it. I really do appreciate it when people will tell me. Yeah, I'd rather know.
What is your personal favorite part about your writing?
Personal favorite part about my writing. I think it's the dialogue for me. I really like writing what the characters are saying to each other. I've been told that like I do pretty good dialogue most of the time. So I always try to think about like, what would sound realistic, and like, and sometimes like if it's like more fantasized or like abstract kind of writing, then like it'll be a little weirder and like that. But other times, like if I had to make my onomatopoeia for pretentious purple prose. No. I hope not.
Good word.
No, but yeah, no, but if I'm writing them like talking to each other, then like I feel like I can make it sound real, and that's I think that's my favorite part about it, and like I also like getting into the characters' heads and stuff, and like their thought process and how it goes from one thing to the next, and like having that like flow back into the story is pretty fun too.
All right. I like your dialogue a lot. I've never really thought about it before until just now, but I do like your dialogue a lot. Which is funny because there wasn't a ton in Other Side.
Yeah. Other Side was a weird one.
Yeah, weird is definitely the way. If you have never read fan fiction before, do not start with Other Side. It is baptism by fire.
Oh yeah, that one was like.
Which seems to be the only way you baptize people.
I like to call that one the soul vomit fan fiction, because it was basically just like I dumped everything out that I could into it, and then I just arranged it and like spent a month and a half like trying to get it. Well, not even a month and a half. It's like 3 weeks of hell, I like to call it. I like downloaded a writing app just so I could like work on it. I downloaded like Write or Die. It's a really good app, by the way. And
highly recommend.
Yeah, because it's like what is it? It gives you punishments for if you stop writing for too long. It's like negative reinforcement. Like the screen will start to slowly turn red and be like, hurry up. And then you can set it to like a nightmare mode where it like plays a really annoying noise until you start writing again. And you can choose, like, it has like a little bank of noises, like, crying babies or like infernal violins or something. It's so mean. And then there's like there's another one where it, like, you can set it to where you can't save until you hit your word quota, and it gives you a time limit kind of thing too. If you want to, you can set a time limit, and then you see like the bar at the top that's like approaching the time limit, and then there's another bar that you control where it's like counting your words. You're trying to like make it race. You're just trying to do it as fast as you can. It's so mean. And then like there's like the super duper hard mode where it'll start like deleting your words if you stop for too long. Yeah, it's mean. It's super mean, but that's what I did to myself when I was writing it. I was too scared to like let it eat the words though. I'd like just start mashing the keys if I thought I couldn't do anything, but I eventually came up with something.
That is... All right, well... Huh. I wasn't expecting that.
If you're a masochist who loves to write, get Write or Die.
Jesus.
Like, the little icon for it is like a little typewriter on fire on my desktop.
That sounds intense, too. It's like, I don't know if I could keep up with that stress.
And that's why it's, like, such a relief to go back to regular writing after you get... Yeah, like, I like to set, like, small goals on that thing, like, maybe 200 or 300 words to, like, get me started, and that way, like, I start, and then I can just go back to, like, normal writing without, like, the scary...
You start, but then all of the words rearrange themselves if you don't write for long enough, and you have to fix it all. Jesus Christ. All right, well, almost halfway through the interview, so I'll make the joke now. I'd like to remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by Write or Die. Write or Die. Do you hate yourself? Jesus Christ. I would never do that. Full props to you for doing that ever or at all, but I would never.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
It's terrifying. Anyways, next question, and this is the halfway point. Question number 13. Are you surprised by the success of your writing?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's been pretty nice. Like, there's never been, like, a fandom that I've written for before where, like, it got that much attention, I think. You know, I mean, Vocaloid is pretty cool to write for. But, you know, there's like a certain kind of fandom between Vocaloid and Ruby. Like, there's different fandoms depending on what you're writing. Like they say, like, smaller fandoms are more dedicated, and then larger fandoms, like, you're not so sure what you're gonna get when your stories get reviewed. So, yeah, I was pretty surprised that, like, so many people really liked like my Ruby stories. I was really happy. I was really happy about it because I was like, oh. And I was happy that, like, I started writing Ruby stories at about the time that, like, my writing skills started getting a little bit better, because I feel like if I had like about as much experience as I had like several years ago, as opposed to like when I started writing for Ruby, then I would have been really embarrassed by all the attention, because I'd be like, no, put it back. Make it go away. Yeah.
That's a good answer. You're one of, I think, 2 people up to this point have answered no to that. Chrissy, and I can't remember.
Well, no,
who
I
else.
answered yes to it.
Oh, you answered. Oh, I'm trying to think of. I fucked up saying that somehow, and I don't know how I did. How did I do that? Okay, what I meant to say was that there were only 2 other people. There were only 2 people that said no to that ever. So, yeah, I don't know how I said that. I do not know how I managed to. I'm so baffled by myself right now.
That's okay. I
am
just know
just
you're
perplexed.
not. No, I'm just kidding.
Damn it! You foiled me. That's the whole thing. Also, I bet you've never been interviewed in a fandom
No,
before.
I've never been interviewed.
Hey. It's because I'm the only one who makes a show like this, because I'm the only one who wants to do this much work. Alright, next question. Actually, kind of relevant to the last story, I guess, but how often do you encounter writer's block or general lack of motivation, and how do you manage to overcome it and continue writing such great works?
How often do I encounter writer's block? Every block of time between November and July when Ruby isn't on. Oh my god, because usually when Ruby's ongoing, like, I am in the zone and I can, like, write something.
AutoZone?
Can you hear my face? Oh god. But no,
sorry.
You're fine. You're talking to the person that makes up puns in the car on her way to work and then is, like, immensely pleased with herself. So, anyway.
Wow. I feel better than you. I feel better about myself now.
I swear to God, I passed a restaurant called Avocados, and or Avocados. That's what it was. Avocado, yeah.
It's avocado.
I'm, like, spoiling the punchline of my joke, but it was like I was like, huh, what do you call it when produce always has your back? Your advocato. It's like, oh man, I'm gonna tell everybody at work, and then they're like, oh,
And that's going to conclude this episode of Cody Talks Fandom.
I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
All right, let's just isolate that sound bit.
Right, writer's block though. Anyway.
Back on topic.
Back on topic. Yeah, so usually if I'm feeling really like masochistic, write or die, just to get me started.
Jesus.
And then other than that, I'll just try to start writing for a pairing that I don't usually write for, because like then I have to start thinking about like totally different like heads. I have to get into totally different minds, and then like I have to work with that, and then like oftentimes that can give me insights to like the other characters that I might not have gotten from just those characters' heads.
Hey, have you heard of this ship called Sephora?
Oh, hey.
Human writer's block?
Yeah, it's like, maybe I'll save that one. I'll put that one on the short list just for you.
Hey, yay. I did it, guys. My mom will be so proud of me. That ship is great.
Mm-hmm.
All ships are great, though. Like I said, within RWBY,
yeah.
it's... Even though I don't ship Enabler on a personal note, I understand how that dynamic works, and it literally works for me from every standpoint but the fact that they are sisters, and that's the deal breaker for me. But literally every ship in RWBY, it works.
I feel weird because like I've always called it Strawberry Sunrise, and like
well, it's Strawberry Sunrise is the way that it's kind of for me anyway. Strawberry Sunrise is when they're actually being sisters, is sisterly love, and Enabler is sisterly loving.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, besides that, Chrissy's not on. I don't have to talk about this. Okay, there we go. What do you do to get ready to write?
I usually try to eat a little something or have like a drink nearby, or not like a drinky drink, but like an actual like sippy drink, like that, like a soft drink. That's what I'm talking.
Just picturing you with a sippy cup next to you now. I'm ready to go.
A sippy cup full of watermelon vodka. Not too far from the truth. Some nights, man. Oh, God. Anyway.
At least you won't spill it.
Yeah, it's like spill proof for when I get extra drinky. A little tasty wasty to get wasty facey. But no, I like to have something to drink nearby, and like I like to like have like a nice clean pair of clothes on. Like I don't want to feel like sweaty or gross if I'm gonna be there for a while, because I'm gonna get sweaty and gross if I'm gonna wait there at my computer. Not I'm not like breaking a sweat writing for any weird reason, but like you know.
What would it? I don't want to know.
No, it's not like that.
No, I don't know what it would be like. I cannot actually physically picture right now.
Good. Okay, then we're just gonna.
And
move
I'm not
past
gonna do it.
Okay. Yeah, I just like to get comfortable. Like I want to wear comfy clothes. I want to feel clean for the inevitable dirtying of my soul that will happen when I write such a review. But yeah, that's basically.
All right.
And I like to write in the morning too. Like I'm a morning writer instead of a evening writer.
Yeah. Like
I used to be an evening writer, and now I'm like a morning.
But then I took an arrow to the knee.
Yeah. I used to be an adventurer.
Next question. What are your general thoughts on your stories?
My general thoughts on
your
my
stories?
Okay. General thoughts. I think I do write a lot of a certain kind of story.
Gee, so, I wonder what kind that is.
Yeah. And I sometimes there's a thought that crosses my mind where I'm like, oh, a lot of people read these kind of stories with one thing in mind. They just want something to read that'll get them excited. And so, but at the same time, I'm I kind of I feel kind of weird when like somebody reviews and they're like, "Oh yeah, that was so hot," and I'm like, "Oh yeah," but at the same time, I'm happy that it made them happy. But at the same time, I'm like, "But did you see all of my underlying symbolism that I left for, like the framework of the relationship and everything?" But you know, I mean, everybody enjoys everything in a different way, and I don't mind, you know, too much. But I do think it's interesting to think about how like somebody can enjoy something that you write or something that I write and then like have a completely different way of enjoying it than like I intended. And that's cool. But like at the same time I'm just like, dude, I hope there's at least that one person out there that like gets everything. And to me, I think like some of the friends like in my little friend group are the ones that like that they understand it. Like especially Jay, like my friend Jay, um, that he'll read anything that I write, and then he'll notice all the little details. I'm like, yes, you're my favorite person. Yes, like if I could hug them. Yeah, I'm like, that's my friend. You got a friend in me. But yeah, in general, I mean, I'm happy that I'm improving because I feel like a lot has changed since I started writing, and sometimes I look back at my old writing and I'm like, I wish I could do this again, or I wish I could do that again, or if I could change it and make it different. But you know, sometimes I just like it's so different from what I write now, and I'm happy with some of the stuff from the past, not all of it, God no, but I'm happier like as I go on. I think it just takes time.
What is one thing that you wish that you could change about your stories looking back on it now? We're keeping this within Ruby, by the way.
Okay. Something I could change about them. Well, I wish Outside would have been more closer to canon. No.
Within reason.
Yeah, no. I wish I could change time and make it perfect. No.
Call up Kronos.
Like, let's see, something I wish I could change. I wish I could make them longer. I really wish I could. Like, it's so hard for me to write long stories. Like, I condense a lot of like emotions and feelings down into like as small as I can get them, and then I like put them together so that way it's easier for me to write it. And then I'm like, that looks good the way it is, and then it's like, and so I feel like I wish I could like try to like expand on some of the things that I've created so far. Sorry, I got like a hiccup coming up and it wasn't coming out, so I was like,
it was an interesting sound.
I was like, you know. But yeah, so I wish I could. I wish I could have like expanded on some of those. Maybe I'll do that in the future. Like redo some of them that like I want to make bigger or something. Like what I'm trying to do with the freaking Hunchback of Notre Dame. But you know, we'll see.
That's an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting response to that.
Yeah, I had no idea how to answer that for a second.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. You've done a shit ton of Cinderuby drabbles, though.
Mm-hmm.
Just short little drabbles. You basically were the tag.
Aw, well, I'm happy.
Yeah.
That's my purpose.
That's my life goal.
Yeah, me and Kino, man.
You and Kino.
Till death do we part.
Till death do you part. Yep.
That was one of the most satisfying lines that I wrote between, like, for one of my White Rose drabbles. It was like a thing where Weiss was describing to Ruby, like, what she wanted to do. And she's like, well, I want to. And then she makes, like, the scissor motions with her hands, and she puts them together. And then Ruby's like, you want us to put our fingers together? And then Weiss is like, oh, my God.
Oh, Ruby.
God, I was so happy.
Actually, because I'm not a girl, for a lot of reasons, it actually, like, somebody that I had on for the interview was talking about tropes that happen in fan fiction and in porn. I get into some weird conversations on this show. I'd like to point that out. But it was talking about, like, weird tropes, and it was like, yeah, scissoring. Like, that's not actually really a thing ever. And I was confused. I was like, what's scissoring? And so then they explained it to me, and I was like, wait, people think that's actually a thing? Like, I had just assumed it was a trope. So I was one step ahead of the game, and I felt proud of myself for that.
Yeah,
I acknowledge the bullshit.
It's so
but,
like
yeah.
unfeasible.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense to me. Like, why? It's a visual thing, so I get why they would do it in stuff like porn.
Yeah.
Like, that's obviously you need a visual
Mhm.
effect. But like, why would that ever be seen as like a practical thing to do?
Yeah,
It
like
doesn't.
what are you doing? Just like God, even like 69ing would be more like
Yeah, well, 69 makes
yeah, that makes
sense.
sense. Because I mean, yeah,
Not 96ing though.
not yeah, just face away from each other and don't
Yeah,
interact.
it honestly makes about as much sense as scissoring.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I didn't even know it was a thing. I also didn't know what it was called because I am a child. All right, well, honestly, we're still doing better than the fucking Ass Kitten Tits interview. We got on a long talk about porn. NSFW cosplay shoots. Apparently those are a thing.
Oh God.
They told me about that and I was like, why?
Like, were they speaking from personal experience or?
They said that they said that by a technicality, like what they would do would be considered NSFW photo shoots, but like full on, like people do that stuff.
Oh
apparently.
yeah,
Like it's
I heard
actually a
about
thing.
that,
I was afraid to look it up,
yeah.
so I didn't, but I'm just gonna take their word for it. They're the professionals
Yeah.
at what I don't know.
Those two are.
Here we go. Do you think writing gets easier with time, or now that you're more experienced, do you find it harder to write than when you were younger and didn't know much?
Oh God, I feel like it's easier to write good things now than it was to write good things back then. But I think in terms of sheer volume, it was easier to just get stuff out when I was younger. Because like no quality filter. Now I sort of have that built in, and like you know, and I've always like proofread and like double checked all of my fics by myself for like grammar problems or spelling problems or anything. Like, and I always type things in WordPad too, so like it doesn't underline them. I just have to manually check them and like yeah.
Oh,
So but I do that because I don't like seeing the squiggles pop up when I'm writing, so because it distracts me. So I just do it in WordPad, and then I like very meticulously check it over when I'm done for errors or anything. And I think that was a good skill to learn pretty early on too. But yeah, it was easier to write more things when I was younger, but it's easier to write better things now. And you know, like I'm trying to find like a balance between like you know just
quality and
yeah,
quantity.
exactly. Because I want to be able to write more. Because I feel like if there's more substance, then it will probably be like more successful overall. But
Talk to Hannah.
yeah, it's like Hannah, can I like possess your soul for a minute?
Can I possess your soul? I just need to borrow it.
Oh God, that will ruin her if she hears that because I got her into Witch's house too.
Oh, Hannah, if you're listening to this interview, I don't know if Hannah is. Is it intimidating to look at your own work with increasingly critical and knowledgeable eyes, or is it inspiring to see how far you've come from when you first started out?
A little bit of both, definitely. It's definitely you get more critical as time goes by, but you just have to keep like pushing yourself to like match that level of like writing. So like you have like a certain level that you hate your writing, and you just have to try and like push until you're better than what you are going to be critical of. Which it sounds really weird, but once you do that, then you can be extra critical of it again, and you just keep like building those skills next to each other. So that's why I feel like most of the time I'm never really happy because like I mean not that I'm never really happy, but like that I'm always thinking about what could be better. I think because like you have to kind of keep pushing yourself because I don't want to like stagnant or anything or just keep writing the same thing over and over because sometimes I feel like man, I've written the same story 5 million times and I'm not it's not doing anything, and then you know I just have to try and force myself to do something different. But in the past, like I'm trying to remember what the first part of that question was now.
I got you.
Yeah, it was.
Is it intimidating to look at your own work with increasingly critical and knowledgeable eyes? The first half of that.
Oh yeah, okay, sorry, I meant the second half. Was it like the thing about like?
Or is it inspiring to see how far you've come from when you first started out?
Okay, yeah. So yeah, it is inspiring to see how far I've come because like when in the moment, like when you're living like day by day, you know, you don't really notice a huge change. But when you look at something from like several years ago, as opposed to right now, then you're like, holy crap, it's totally different. Mm-hmm. And like a lot of that is a good kind of different.
Mm-hmm. You're really all for the 50-50 answers. Half one way, half way.
I didn't even realize.
Oh, I'm fine with that. More content.
Yay.
Also, really interesting stances to take. What have you learned from your writing?
What have I learned from my writing? Like I can't really pick out one big thing. Like I feel like it's all a big cumulative experience kind of thing. And I've learned that like if I know the right thing to do with it, then I'll do that. Like I feel like there was one fan fiction I wrote where it wasn't for the RWBY fandom, but it was like I won't go too much into it. But like I had this feeling of like what I wanted to write versus what I knew the characters would say, and that was a humongous turning point for me because I was like, oh man, I'm like really squeamish about writing this, but they would totally do this, and so I bit the bullet and I did it that way, and I was like, that was like so liberating. So I feel like it like writing has basically taught me to like think in terms of the characters and to like really separate the characters from myself, and that has helped me become a better writer ultimately.
All right. That was a fun answer. You have good answers to these questions.
Oh, thanks.
I like to answer these questions a lot. How do you manage your time?
Badly.
With Writers from Hell or whatever it's called. What is it? What's the app called?
Write or Die. Yeah. I like you could give me all the time in the world and I'll still be like 10 minutes late or just barely on time to something. But like
I respect that.
Yeah, as far as managing time for writing, I think I just sort of it's a bad habit that I'm trying to get out of, but like I kind of wait for inspiration sometimes, or like more recently, what I've been trying to do is trying to like write something different so I can get out of it sooner. Because like I don't want to rely on just like
Extender Ruby.
Just no, not that, but like I don't want to rely on just inspiration to like fuel my writing bursts. You know, I'm all for Cinder Ruby all day, every day. But
hey, have you ever heard of a show called Sephora? Hey, guess what? We're on the home stretch.
Now we're at the home stretch. Yay!
We did it. Final 5 questions. This is one of my favorite questions in the thing. Totally not biased at all. I did make this, but actually, like, unbiasedly, this is one of my favorite questions. If you could work on a story with any other writer, who would it be with and why? Stipulations for this. 1 in fandom, 1 out of fandom. And you cannot have worked with them previously.
Well, let's see. I would... Okay, I'll start with out of fandom. I don't actually know anybody out of fandom.
Well, it can include like, professional writers and stuff. It's just somebody that is not a RWBY fandom writer.
No, that's the problem, though. I was thinking of like only professional writers, and then I realized, it could probably be.
Yeah, it can be literally anybody as long as they're not within the RWBY fandom.
Let me see. Okay, I'll include professional writers because I can't think of anything. Maybe Emily Rada. She wrote the Del Toro Quest series. It's like my favorite book series ever. So that would be cool. And although it got a really shitty anime adaptation that we never speak of. But anyway, and then in the fandom, I'm going to say...
Cannot have worked with them previously.
I know. I know. You little sly thing.
This will be the rest of the interview.
Yeah, just strange Nigel Thornberry noises.
Ha smashing.
I'll do this with my hand. No, please don't put that in. I'm like realizing my mistake.
Well, that's making it in the interview.
God damn it. Okay. Okay, somebody in fandom. I would have to say my friend Jay, because they do art and I do stories, so technically we have not worked together.
All right, that's fair. I the way that I phrase this is like on a story, but it's like if people always are like they name artists, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine.
Oh,
I'm
really. No. Now I'm determined to answer the question correctly.
Honestly, I don't give a shit.
Well, I do. Oh my god.
Fuck. I think I fucked up.
Jeez. No, actually, no, I don't care.
Okay.
It's fine. This is I'm like, I don't want to sit here.
And that'll be the rest of the interview. All right.
Yeah. Like 10, 15 minutes of silence.
Pretty much. All right. If you had the chance to create this is a really interesting question, totally viewer submitted. And I think it's from somebody that's done questions like this before, but it's a different username, so I don't know. If you had the chance to create a video game that takes characters, creatures, and other elements from RWBY, but could be any genre/type of game that you enjoy, what would that gem be? Would you go for something like a Persona crossover, perhaps, or for a more story-focused, choice-based QTE game like The Wolf Among Us? And that one is from Saluno on YouTube.
So does it have to be like a sim sort of thing, like Persona or Walking Dead or Wolf Among Us, or
it says any genre/type of game, so I assume that you can break out of it.
Horror game, that would be the best.
I kind of expected that after you opened up with "I love horror games." It's like, all right, I don't know if that's an interview,
god,
but
that would be so great. Yeah, that would be awesome. Like, there's a lot you could probably do with that because. There's the ever-present threat of the Grim, and then there's like whatever evil team doing bad stuff. Yes, Team Crime. it's such a funny team name. Yeah. It's like the cream of the crime of the crop. Yeah, just deep sigh. Oh gosh, I actually wrote like a little bit of like a RWBY zombie apocalypse.
Ooh.
Sort of a little bit, and of course it was sort of a situation where RWBY got separated from her group because she was saving Cinder, who got betrayed by her group.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and then she and Cinder were a group of two, and it's like, I mean, it was interesting. I really liked writing it.
I don't know why I didn't see that coming.
I also wrote, this is gonna be weird, but I actually wrote like a little bit of a freezer burn zombie apocalypse at you.
That I can see.
Like, it was a really short, it was like a drawable request for somebody, I think, and that's why it was so short. But they were basically like stuck in a car while zombies are trying to get in, and Weiss is freaking out, and Yang is just like, okay, come on, we gotta just get through them, we gotta kill them, that's what we gotta do. And Weiss is like, but like, that could be somebody's Ruby or Blake, and Yang is like, I know, but like the only thing that's like keeping me going right now is that it's not them. We gotta go. We just gotta go. That's not them right now.
Yeah.
Oh, baby. I do like Freezer Burn.
Freezer Burn's great. Freezer Burn is great, but it's one of like the least popular ships amongst Team RWBY.
It's so sad. I really do like Freezer Burn.
That being
I like
said,
Freezer
every
Burn
single
and
ship
Ladybug.
within Team RWBY has definitely a dedicated fan base at the bare minimum, and it has a lot of people that like it and will create stuff for it. Like all of them within RWBY. Final 3 questions now. And this one, I'm going to take away writing, and I'm also going to take away Cinder RWBY. What do you think your reputation is within the fandom? Taking away writing and Cinder RWBY, because I had a feeling that might be your answer. So
nothing.
Nothing. You don't exist.
Like, well, don't outside of my writing. I can't draw. Or no, I shouldn't say that I can't draw. I've just never taken the time to learn to draw. That's my fault. It's not that I can't. I mean, I can't, but it's not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you
Yeah.
can't. It's just kind of like, yeah.
Well, that's all my fault. That's not, like,
Yeah.
you know.
It's not anybody else's fault.
So I don't draw. I don't like.
But I mean, you still post and whatnot. There are still people you know.
Oh, okay.
So, like,
well, but I write theory. That's like,
yeah.
That's like writing. Well, like, is it like outside of writing fan fiction? Then like, I don't know. I make analysis posts sometimes.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. You can say that.
Like,
This question always gets tricky.
Yeah. I think my favorite ones. I made one about like comparing Penny's walk cycle from Volume 1 to her walk cycle from Volume 2. And,
oh yeah.
And how she is like basically matching Ruby stride for stride in Volume 2, as opposed to like the very stilted and like arms in awkward walk that she has in Volume 1. Because like I like to think that she's like learning from Ruby because she really likes her and stuff. Nuts and Bolts is like, oh, I love that pairing.
It's a great ship.
If I had to pick somebody to ship Ruby with, if Ruby had to end up with anyone canonically, which I don't think will happen because I think canonically Ruby is asexual. I feel like if there was anybody, I feel like it would be Penny. I feel like Ruby and Penny is like, oh, it's so pure. It's so cute. It's
it is. It really
just
is.
Right. And like it helps that Penny is kind of like partly a living weapon. So
yeah, you know.
Ruby would be all into that. Oh, what was I saying? Yeah, so analysis posts. And then the other one that I really liked was like examining Weiss's body language in Volume 1 and how many times she folded her arms and like, you know, like, because it's like, it's I think it's kind of a fun bit of a like a visual pun too, because like when you fold your arms, you're like closing yourself off from people, but it's also the kind of thing that you do when you're cold, like you hold your arms and you rub your arms, so it's like, you know, and you know, Weiss, you know.
Yeah. I see where you're going with that. This is what I say. I'll be honest, I don't have much patience for reading stuff, so normally when I see your analysis, I just keep scrolling. I'm really bad about it. I just like, it's longer than one paragraph.
Yeah, no, I mean, you don't, it's fine, I mean, you know, but
I've skimmed some of them. I have gone through some of them, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think those two are the main ones that I really like because I felt like they were, like, supported in canon and, like, really easy to see. But because, like, with Weiss and folding her arms, like, you know, and how, like, when they have, like, the whole combat skirts moment, she's, like, folding her arms, and then Ruby comes over to support her, and, like, she like, Ruby's folding her arms, too. So, like, when you mimic somebody's body language, you're showing solidarity. And, like, I think that meant a lot to Weiss because she's lonely as hell. And Ruby was there, so she breaks the fact that she's, like, she opens her arms to, like, give a high five to Ruby, and I'm like, oh, she's letting her in, you know? And then, contrast to when she's fighting with Blake, and instead of folding her arms in front of her, she, like, holds them behind her back and sticks her chest out, because she's, like, super confident in what she's saying, and it's like, holy shit, Weiss is on the attack. And she's like wielding her vulnerability as a weapon in regards to the subject matter, and I was like, that's really cool, actually. I hope they did that on purpose. Otherwise, I'm gonna look like I'm looking too much into this.
Well, you probably are.
Probably, but it's still cool.
Yeah. All right, final two questions now. In this one, what is the question you get asked the most?
The question I get asked the most, besides all the asks on Tumblr that are like, oh, is there room in the trash can for me? And like, I'll be honest, I just delete those when I get them because I'm like, you know, I mean, I don't want to feel like I'm the gatekeeper to a pairing or anything, so I'm just like
you just shrug that over to Kino.
Yeah. God, no, like Kino feels the same way too. Like we complain to each other, like people keep asking us, and so
get Kino on the show.
And you know, we don't want to be mean or anything, but it's like, you know, at the same time, like we answered the first few questions. Like I answered the first few questions, like, yeah, no, of course, there's room, you know. But then I felt like weird because it was like people asking me permission to ship something. I'm like, no, just ship it if you like it. Just you don't have to ask anybody's permission. You can just do it. I mean, I know that they're probably not thinking too hard about it, but when you get like 20 messages, they're like, oh, can I?
Then you start thinking about it.
Then I'm like, okay, this is getting kind of much.
Yep. Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, sucks, but
Yeah. Well, do what you want, everybody. That's what I say.
do what you wanna do. It's a South Park reference, and I cannot believe I just fucking made that. All right, final question though. Staple of the show. Very broad question, but what is the biggest piece of advice you can give to aspiring writers?
Biggest piece of advice. I would say to just keep trying to do what you're doing and like try and do something new every time you do something. I think that because if you do the same thing over and over, then you'll get good at that, and that's okay. Repetition is okay to a certain extent, but if you don't consistently keep trying new things or trying to improve, then you're going to get bored and you're going to start feeling like you're not good. When in reality, you're really good, but you have to. But if you want to be pleased with your increasingly critical view of yourself that you will develop, perhaps not even like noticing that you're doing that, then you're gonna make yourself miserable if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
if you feel like you're stagnating, even though you're actually really good.
All right, good advice. Actually, differing advice to certain extents. Get a lot of the same ones. So you managed to answer pretty much every single question differently than normal.
Oh wow, yay! Well,
Apart from the yes and no questions, obviously, but those are besides the point. So that is going to conclude the questions portions of the interview. We referenced a lot of things and a lot of people, but is there anybody specifically that you would like to give a shout out to that I will link in the description below?
Let's
because
see.
I'm lazy and I won't link everyone.
Well, of course, there's Kino, obviously my sister from another mister. And my friend Jay, I'll give you his URL later, because he's just so supportive and like really super awesome, and like he's the friend that notices all the details that I put into my writing, and that really makes me feel happy. And they were one of the first friends that I ever made in the Ruby fandom too, and let's see, just everybody in the Trash Clan, you know who you are. Yeah, that like whether it's our Skype group or anybody that wants to be in the trash can with Cinder Ruby, you're more than welcome. You don't have to ask for anybody's permission. You can do whatever makes you happy, as long as you acknowledge to yourself to some degree that, hey, this is bad news, but it's okay because I liked it.
I won't link everybody that ships Cinder Ruby in the description
no, God, yeah, that would.
Oh, I know what I'm gonna do though.
They're all gonna come crawling out of the woodwork. And my boyfriend for always supporting me.
Shout out to that person.
Shout out.
Made us do the interview a week early.
Yeah, he's coming out. He actually role plays Professor Osmond.
Wait, what's his URL?
Professor Osmond.
Holy shit, I know who that is.
Yeah, he's like, oh my gosh, it was weird because we met.
I've roleplayed with him before.
You have? Oh my goodness!
I feel weird now.
Man, that's so cool. Well, it's Professor Osmond, but I don't think the other Professor Osmond actually has an RP blog, and it bugs that person because all of my boyfriend's stuff gets tagged with their tag, and they're like, nah, but it's like,
Yep. I have roleplayed with this person before.
Small world. But yeah, woo!
It is a small world.
Best Professor Osmond role player ever.
I won't argue.
Probably kind of the only one too, but still.
I think I've said that before too.
Oh man.
This is getting weird.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
But yeah, that's about it. Thanks so much for having me. It was.
All right.
It's fun.
Thank you for coming on the show.
You're really easy to talk to.
No, this was fun. Might have you on in the show in the future for different reasons. I'll say that right now.
Oh boy.
If all goes well for something. All goes well for something. But that is going to conclude this episode of Cody Talks Fandom. I forgot to mention it at the beginning of the video, but there will be a new voting reset when this episode comes out for the next series of interviews. It will strictly be to determine the order of how things are going to be playing out. So the options are going to be writer, artist, cosplayer, musician, and there's one more, and I suck, and I can't remember what it is right now. I'm so bad. So, but those are going to be. Oh, there's also going to be an other, because it's other for a reason, and I don't want to reveal what that reason is, but you'll see if you vote for it. So those are going to be the 5 options. Those are going to be up once this episode is up. So if you're watching this, the poll is up. But so if you would come by, vote on a thing, just very, very briefly, just so that I can create a new list, a new order for how things are going to continue. The next episode is going to continue on the fandom interpretations, and that is going to be Blake Belladonna, the kitty cat, is up next. So you'll be hearing about that. Otherwise, however, I want to once again thank Emmy for coming onto the show. This was a lot of fun. And beyond that, I'll see all of you the next time. Bye.